In today's video, I'm going to be revealing my most shocking confessions. Hey guys, it's Jordan Jonas Sparks. Welcome back to my channel. So, this video is gonna be, really intense. I've thought about talking about a lot of these things on my channel in the past. I've literally deliberated with myself about how much of this I'm going to ever reveal on my channel. Whew, makes me nervous even, thinking about it, but in this video I'm going to be talking about my most extreme, shocking confessions of my life. So to put a disclaimer on this video, a lot of these things I do not talk about ever. A lot of these things I don't talk about with my family, with my siblings. I guess that's my family, with my closest friends. Like, I've never talked to a therapist about some of these things. Basically just some insane stuff. So, trigger warning, there might be some stuff that is triggering that I talk about in this video. I have had an extremely traumatic childhood, I guess you could say, and a lot of this is going to be stuff about my childhood. And yeah, I guess let's just hop into it. So one of the biggest, most shocking things that people do not know about me is that I was actually abducted for a giant chunk of my childhood, and I was abducted, I believe, August 28th, 1995, until December 25th, 2001, and that is all I'm going to say about that. My next shocking confession is not as serious, but I have an extremely bad nervous habit of not just chewing on my lips, but I will chew on my entire cheeks if I get nervous or if I'm going through periods of anxiety, and I'll just chew on my entire lips, my entire cheeks. I will literally claw at my face, like how people would chew on their fingernails. I will literally scrape my cheeks, and it gets really bad. I know that doesn't sound really bad, but it's way worse than just chewing on your lips. It gets to the point that my entire inside of my cheeks will be raw and in pain, and that's just something that I'm trying to stop. But it's literally whenever I'm super nervous or triggered, then I'll literally start chewing on my face, literally how some people would chew on their nails. Okay, whew, this video is literally giving me a panic attack. I don't talk about any of this stuff. And sorry to burst your bubble if this bursts your bubble or your image of me. I'm not perfect. I've never been perfect. I'm never going to be perfect. I'm a human and I make mistakes, and I've lived and I've learned from my past, and I've come to peace with these things, and some of them I'm still struggling with, but yeah, okay. The next thing, despite popular belief, I guess, I'm not actually gay. Everybody has been saying that since before I had any kind of sexual thoughts, I guess, in my entire life. People have been saying that because I liked playing with dolls, because I had feminine habits or effeminate traits about me. But I've also never actually had a boyfriend, anything like that. I don't categorize myself or label myself with anything to do with sexual orientation. I will love who I love. I will be attracted to who I'm attracted to. And whatever that leads to, so be it. For the most part, I just remain single. I guess I can talk more about that in some other video or something, but yeah, shocking revelation, I guess. But yeah, I don't know, that's something I don't really care when people say that, because I'm a proud member of the LGBTQ community, and I'm definitely queer. I don't identify with any specific label, but I just feel that puts you in a box as a person, and I will love who I love whenever I choose, or whenever I find somebody that I love, or whatever. I've only ever had girlfriends in the past. I've had different kind of relationships, sexual or romantic. I openly am attracted to people of any gender. It's really not important to me, and that's the same in the past. That's just how it is. My next shocking confession is that I have been battling with PTSD and anxiety for basically my entire life in some shape or another. I've been dealing with severe trauma since I was very young, so a lot of these things I didn't realize were PTSD until later. If you don't know what PTSD is, it's post-traumatic stress disorder. And basically, if you have had some kind of trauma in your life, you will probably experience some of the symptoms of PTSD at some point. I don't want that to sound like gloomy or anything. You may not identify them as having anything to do with your trauma, but that's basically how it's happened for me. And then in terms of anxiety, I've dealt with anxiety on different scales. I've been medicated for my anxiety before, and I have dealt with it cognitively, and I've dealt with it through like counseling, that kind of thing. I've dealt with it through medications, and it's been like a really big problem for me for many, 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 many years. I started addressing it head on, I don't know, a few years back, and it has been getting better for me. The biggest thing for me is just being transparent and trying to just be the most honest version of myself at all times, and not like putting up a guard or putting myself inside a shell, because those are the things that cause me anxiety in my day-to-day life. And there's obviously other different triggers throughout my life and my day-to-day that cause anxiety, but it used to be way more severe, I would say, in the past than it is right now. So that's something that's improving. My next shocking confession, I started smoking cigarettes at like 4 or 5 years old. I don't smoke cigarettes now. I did not smoke cigarettes after this age in my childhood, and I don't condone smoking. Anyways, basically, I grew up in a super sketch kind of living situation when I was really young, and one of my older brothers, I'll just say, basically forced me to smoke cigarettes, to collect cigarette butts, to steal cigarettes from people, basically all of that. I don't really remember the sensation of smoking as a child, but I do remember smoking when I was extremely young. Even like rolled up like tobacco on loose leaf paper from cigarette butts from on the street. Like, it was really disgusting, and I don't ever remember wanting to do this, but I was made to do that as a child. It's probably why I never picked up smoking as a habit any other time in my life, and why I think it's disgusting, but yeah, I was smoking cigarettes at like 4 or 5 years old. I've struggled with an eating disorder that has taken many different shapes and forms throughout, I would say, the last at least 15 years of my life. This is something that I've probably been in denial about for a very long time. I didn't want to ever label it as an eating disorder. I was always fascinated by other eating disorders as a child, like anorexia and bulimia and those kinds of things I just found interesting, and I would like read and watch case studies, but I never considered myself as one of those people. I didn't identify with it. It wasn't until in my teen years, when people were suggesting that I had anorexia because I was extremely thin, that I actually started to develop a binge eating disorder, and I would eat and eat and eat and eat and eat and eat and eat because I just did not want to be thin. And this has came back to me and taunts me throughout my life. A lot of the time I will start going to the gym, and it will start out as a healthy habit, and I will start eating properly and lifting weights, and then I get obsessed with gaining weight, and then all of the like triggers that I used to feel about being too thin and about being small all come rushing back. For the most part, I have a very healthy body image now. Like, I love my body the way that it is. I love that I'm able to move in my body and dance and do acrobatic tricks and things like that, but I have struggled with that for a long period of time in the past. What I was more in denial about is the anorexia part of it, because I've never wanted to starve myself or be smaller, and I always thought there's no way that this is me. This isn't something that I identify with, because I'm the complete opposite. I've always wanted to like eat and eat and eat and eat and eat and eat and eat so that I can free myself of that like self-loathing of being this skinny, thin person. But the reality of it is that there is so many different underlying parts to anorexia. It is not just looking in the mirror and wanting to be thin. A major component is not feeling the need to take care of yourself. And that's like what the biggest thing has been for me, to be honest, is that on a fundamental level, I can be so successful in everything that I'm doing in my life, and I can be going to work, and I can be getting straight A's in college, and like succeeding in my professional and personal life, and then still on a fundamental level be like, oh, you don't need to eat because that's not important. And that's the part that has been the biggest issue to me, is like my health and my body need to come first, and I don't know why that doesn't click when everything else is like being successful all around me. It's like I've always felt this, I don't know, definitely not rational thoughts towards eating ever really in my life. It's like kind of taken healthy routes sometimes when I've been vegan, or when I just different lifestyles that I took on, but it eventually led me down a path of like OCD eating and restriction and things like that, or just not eating at all. That's the biggest thing for me. That's why I can't be vegan right now, as bad as that sounds, because like I do it for animal rights and stuff like that. But when I've been vegan in the past, it gets to the point that I'm like, oh, I can't find any vegan foods around me, and then out of laziness or whatever it is, just not wanting, it feels like laziness to me, and it might look like laziness to other people, but out of just genuine not self-care, lack of self-care, I will just not eat. Be like, oh, there's nothing vegan, I just won't eat. And so for now, I have to take care of my mental health in that situation before I can return to that lifestyle. And it is something that I'm always going to need to watch, because I'm always going to have that like little voice in the back of my head that allows me to fall back into these same patterns. I've struggled with an unknown breathing problem for so many years. It developed, I don't remember at what point, but basically I would always feel like I'm gasping for air and that there was no oxygen coming into my lungs. And I used to like lay in bed, I remember in junior high and my teen years, and I would just be like panicking because I couldn't breathe. And then whenever I would talk to like my parents, they'd be like, oh, it's just anxiety kind of thing, and your anxiety is convincing that you can't breathe. And then other doctors have said this in the past as well, and because I have anxiety and things like that, then it just goes hand in hand with that. Other doctors have said that it is asthma. I've taken all of the different asthma medications that they gave me, different inhalers and stuff like that, and it's never helped or improved absolutely anything at all. So I would say that it's not asthma. It has like a lot of the same symptoms as asthma, but it's just like I've never been able to cure that sensation. Whenever I go on a vacation to somewhere and there's a different climate, it affects me the most. But no asthma medications help relieve this. It'll just be like the entire time that I'm in Mexico or Florida or something like that, I'll just be like struggling to breathe the entire time. And yeah, it makes going on vacation really stressful, but yeah, I'm yet to figure out what that is. A lot of doctors have suggested other things, like it could be acid reflux and stuff like that, because it can like go into your lungs or something and cause shortness of breath, I guess. On the same medical history part, another shocking confession is in my first year of college, I thought that I was having a heart attack because I was having extreme chest pains all day long, and I went to sleep and I woke up like literally feeling like I was having a heart attack. And then I didn't want to wake up my friend Maxime, who I was staying at her house, and then I woke her up because I felt like I was having a heart attack, and she took me to the hospital. They diagnosed me with pericarditis, and I was stuck in the hospital for several weeks. I ended up missing an audition for a major college that I was going to be auditioning for, and I ended up being on bed rest for a month after that, and I almost had to drop out of college, or fail out of college, essentially. So that is another confession. These are not my real teeth, so thank you for all the compliments that I get on them, but my real teeth are actually just smaller. I don't know, they're not as pretty. The main reason I have this is because I'm missing a bicuspid, and I just don't like looking like a jack-o'-lantern. So I have this, which is a clip-on veneer, and it goes over your teeth, and it makes them look nice, basically. That's it. I've actually met like all of my celebrity idols in person, oddly enough. I met Daniel Radcliffe, who played Harry Potter, on a set in Toronto. I met Kenny Ortega, who is the director of Michael Jackson's This Is It and Hannah Montana meets Miley Cyrus tours and the Jonas Brothers tours, and he directed High School Musical, all of them. And I met him on a set for Disney's Descendants 2 in Vancouver. And then my other idols are Maddie Ziegler and Abby Leigh Miller, sorry if you hate her, and I met them randomly. I was walking through the mall in Toronto and I bumped into them, literally. I watched my father commit some very serious crimes as a child from the backseat of the car. Literally, I've watched him go to like golf courses and go to all of the different places in town that were public when I was really, really young, and he would like jump into like their courtyards and stuff like that at night and steal all of their bottles and empties and bring them to the recycling depot. I would sit in the back seat of the car while he did things like rip payphones off of the wall in like parking lots with a crowbar and put them in the back of his car, bring them home, and then him and some friends would like beat them open or like cut them open with a circular saw in the dungeon. Stuff like that. I watched him use a hacksaw to cut off parking meters and put them in the back of the car and bring them home. This was literally like a regular thing when I was extremely young and living that life. That's all I'm going to say about that. My brother passed away when I was 15. He was on a vacation, essentially, with one of his best friends, and they were at the best friend's sister's wedding reception, and my brother drowned in the lake. That was in Kenora, Ontario. And yeah, that was when I was 15, the summer before I started grade 10. My father passed away as soon as I graduated college. I graduated college and I moved to Toronto to pursue my career of performing arts, and I got the call that my father had passed away. He fell off of a waterfall in Nelson, BC. Apparently, there are lots of rumored things that went along with his death. Apparently, he was diagnosed with stomach cancer just previous to his death. There's people that think that his death was a murder, all sorts of things like that. That's all I'm going to say about that. I was arrested when I was 8 years old with my brother for theft under $5,000. That's all I'm going to say about that too. I know that a lot of this stuff sounds absolutely insane. If you have any questions or you want me to make further videos on any of this, then definitely let me know in the comments below. I wanted to let you guys know this is all 100% true. I have no reason to lie about any of this, and I'm making this video as a way of, literally for me, as a personal relief and literally a way to be like wash myself free of these sins in a way. Like, these were literally a lot of things that brought me extreme guilt and extreme shame all throughout my life. I always kind of felt like I was living a double life, where I would have this life of crime and this insanity at home, and then at school I was like a perfect student and I would be the teacher's pet and I would be the straight A student, top of my class. And it was always feeling like a lie, and I honestly think that that martyrism and that need to be perfect was coming from knowing that my life was like a giant lie, and I always like needed to cover that up throughout all of my childhood and pretend that my life was normal when it definitely was not. I also wanted to make this video to show you guys that it is okay to make mistakes. It is okay to have like a really dark past. It is okay to have things that you are ashamed of or things that have brought you guilt, and it is okay to release that guilt and to release that shame and to move on with your life. And if you struggle with any of the things that I've mentioned in this video, feel free to let me know in the comments. I am sure that I can relate. As always, make sure to be weird, be wild, and stay sparkly, and I will catch you guys in the next video, and I hope you don't hate me. Bye!